I highly doubt it's going to be with a Mario game unless they're going to put out the 60th Mario game in a row. Do you think they got one ready? Was it even a question? Let's be real. So what must-get game is going to come out with the Nintendo Switch 2? And they put out 6 Mario games for the Switch since it came out. Maybe more. I'm not going to count. Are you? No questions asked. Right? Right. Just a plethora of shit. A Pro version, a Next version, a Switch 2, whatever you want to call it. It was time a long time ago. Anybody else see how shitty that looks? Just me, huh? What's up, people? Dwayne from D-Pad Disquisition. And as you guys know, deep down to the core, I'm a Nintendo guy. Can you tell? Was it even a question? Let's be real. When Nintendo launched their last console, the Switch, they launched it with a Zelda game. Genius move, because as we all know, all of us know, Zelda, top tier. Top tier. No questions asked. Right? Right. But Zelda is my favorite franchise of all time, hands down. Nostalgia? Maybe. Because I grew up with it? Probably. It is what it is. But Zelda is my favorite franchise of all time. And I was thinking to myself recently, what is the Switch 2 gonna launch with? Is it gonna be a Zelda game? Is it gonna be a Mario game? Who knows? So today we're gonna talk about what the Switch 2 is actually gonna launch with, in my opinion. Just some speculation for fun, pretty much. After all the bullshit, rumors, and all that shit we've heard about the Switch Pro, the Switch 2, an upgraded Switch, all this bogus shit that never happens. When the Switch 2 finally comes out, what are they going to release it with? A Zelda game? They already released Tears of the Kingdom. You think they're going to have a Zelda game ready as soon as the Switch 2 releases? I doubt it. A Mario game? They've released Mario Wonder, Mario RPG, Super Mario 3D World Remake, Super Mario Odyssey. There have been a shit ton of Mario games for this console. The next generation of Switch consoles is something that's talked about every day. Every day you get on YouTube, if you're a Nintendo guy like I am, you see a new video about a Switch Pro, a Switch 2, the Switch launch titles, what the controllers are going to be like, what the console is going to be like, how powerful is it going to be. Just a plethora of shit about the Switch 2 / Switch Pro. I was sitting here thinking about it the other day and I was like, all the games they put out for the Switch, what are they going to launch the Switch 2 with? Personally, I don't think they can launch it with a Zelda game because Tears of the Kingdom is so new that there's no way they can have another Zelda game ready unless they're going to launch it with some Zelda remake, which as a Zelda fan I'm going to love, but is everybody else going to sit there and buy a console off of a remake? I highly doubt it. It's not going to have the same power, the same excitement, the same fresh air that Breath of the Wild put out with the Switch 1. It's just not. And they somewhat launched it with Mario Odyssey 2. We'll call it launch window-ish, right? But there's so many Mario games out that they put out in the last, year or so, that there's no way they can launch it with a Mario game. And now, the only games that I can think of that Nintendo has announced are like Metroid Prime, that Princess Peach game, stuff like that no one is going to specifically buy a console for it. Now, look, I'm not going to say nobody will buy a console for those games, because Metroid Prime 4 is, I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. There's a lot of Metroid Prime fans. There's a lot of just Metroid fans in general. I don't know about Princess Peach fans, right? But the Metroid fans are there. But it's not the same as the Zelda fans. It's not the same as the Mario fans. It's not the same. It's not the same amount. It's not as big of a group. It's more of a niche community of geniuses, in my opinion, because they have excellent taste in games. I'm not even the biggest Metroid guy, but I can put any Metroid game in and understand why people thoroughly enjoy those games with all they have. It's not hard to see, especially if you put in Metroid Dread. That game is just fantastic. That's probably the only Metroid game I've ever played from start to finish. Honestly. I did do that with Metroid Prime, the original, and Super Metroid, but it took me years to complete those games. Like, it wasn't something that I was eager about completing every day when I got home, like a Zelda game. But I'm more of a Zelda guy. But when the Switch 2 finally releases, I highly doubt it's going to be with a Mario game, unless they're going to put out the 60th Mario game in a row. Do you think they got one ready? And I highly doubt it's going to be a Zelda game, because Tears of the Kingdom just came out, unless they're just going to rewrap all that same shit that came out of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which Tears of the Kingdom, honestly, isn't super different from Breath of the Wild, other than like story elements and a few powers and shit like that. Very minute stuff, in my opinion, coming from someone who bought Breath of the Wild day one. Maybe if I didn't play Breath of the Wild day one, or even play Breath of the Wild first, let's say I played Tears of the Kingdom first, might be a little different. But I don't know what games Nintendo could possibly have in the bag that they're going to release the Switch 2 with, because it's not going to be a Switch Pro. They would have released a Switch Pro a long time ago if that was the case, just to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, PS5, Xbox Series X, they would have put something out a long time ago to compete with the Joneses if that's what their plan was. I think they're going straight to a Switch 2, but I can't fathom what games they're going to put out for this. I don't think it's going to be a Zelda game, and I don't think it's going to be a Mario game. What are they going to release it with? Not a Pikmin game. Even though Pikmin's like Metroid, it's not a prime seller like Mario or Zelda. When they released the original Switch, it came out with 1-2 switch, snipper clips. With snipper clips, it's fantastic. If you got multiple people or someone to play with, that game is awesome. 1-2 switch, it's okay. Maybe if you had 4 or 5 people, or however many people it holds, or let's play at the same time, right? I've never played 1-2 switch, but I've seen videos on it. It looks fun with a group of people. Just being honest. But snipper clips was fantastic with another person. And then it released with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is what sold that console. Now, don't get me wrong, maybe it had partially to do with being able to slap it in and pull it on the go and stuff. But even people that weren't gamers seen Breath of the Wild and they're like, I know Zelda from when I was a kid, and it's open world. Look at this. Wow. I have to get it. I have to get it. So what must-get game is going to come out with the Nintendo Switch 2? It's not going to be a Zelda game, I'm sure, because they already put 2 out for the Switch. They aren't going to have another one ready. And they put out 6 Mario games for the Switch since it came out. Maybe more. I'm not going to count. Are you? Here's what I think is going to happen when the Switch 2 finally releases. I think if it comes out sooner than later, and it comes out relatively quickly, 6 months to a year, There's not going to be a Zelda game ready. There's not going to be a Mario game ready. Unless they've been working on Super Mario Odyssey 2. I would love to hear your guys' comments, what you guys think they are going to release the Switch 2 with, because I'm baffled. I honestly can't think of anything major that they would release it with. Maybe they've been working on something behind the scenes, a new Punch-Out game, or something like that. But their main two franchises, Mario and Zelda, have been milked to death on the last console. And they were both launch or launch window of the last console. So, are they going to have another one ready? What are they going to launch the Switch 2 with? I have no idea. I'd say maybe a collection of Zelda games remastered or Mario Odyssey 2. And to accompany one of those, Metroid Prime 4. That's the only thing I can think of them launching a Nintendo Switch 2 with. Are they going to put Metroid Prime 4 on the original Switch? Or are they going to wait to launch it with the new Switch? Personally, I would probably wait at this point because it's been out for so long. A new Switch is due. I have videos on that from years ago talking about how it's time for a new console. A Pro version, a Next version, a Switch 2, whatever you want to call it. It was time a long time ago to upgrade your shit because it looks like garbage now. Witcher 3 Definitive Edition? Anybody else see how shitty that looks? Just me, huh? So when the Switch 2 releases, I'll be very interested in seeing what they release it with. Hopefully it's not a dud lineup like some of their past consoles. If you guys have any ideas, I would love to hear them. Leave them in the comments below. I read like every comment you guys leave. I'm very curious as to what you guys think because I can't see any games that they would launch with the Nintendo Switch 2 that's going to be anything like the original Switch launch. I just can't. And as always, I will catch you guys on the other side. Peace out.